A few times a year you may notice that after it rains you find that you get lots of dusty water spots, and this week in particular in the UK and the rest of Europe we've had a huge downpour carrying that famous Sahara dust, and I had loads of people ask me the best way to remove it safely. So if you're washing your car this morning, then this video is going to have all the answers that you're looking for. So yesterday I had 5 cars to clean and 4 of them were covered in what you would only describe as sandy mud that came up from the Sahara, and it happens a few times a year, so as you can see here it looks horrible. And throughout the video I'll be sharing top tips which are essential if you want to keep your car looking its best. And tip number 1 is being organised, and before you get started make sure you got all your buckets topped up, everything all set up and all ready to go, because the last thing you want to do is start and stop because the car is going to dry pretty quickly. Which takes me on to tip number 2, and that's making sure that your car is in the shade, because even in the winter in the direct sunlight it's still going to cause problems with drying as well. And tip number 3, make sure you clean the car in the morning or the evening or whenever it's cooler. Now moving on to the wash itself, we always start with the wheels, and the process for the wheels is identical to the one that I've already made a video on, so I'm going to leave a link to that one in the description below. But long story short, it's a case of rinsing first and then using a wheel cleaner followed up by snowfoam to get the best results. So when it comes to actually washing the car, I'm going to state this now and say that rinsing your car first is not a dumb idea, despite what people think, especially on this occasion. And here's my reasoning behind this, because the car has lots of mud and sand on it, and if you rely on just snowfoam alone and naively think that it will remove all the sand and just jump in with a contact wash, you're going to find that you're going to end up with a swirly car. So, if you follow along to the advice and the essential tips in this video, then you should have nothing to worry about. Once you're happy with the first rinse, you can now jump on to using a citrus pre-wash, and the one that I've got here is from Infinity Wax, and I basically sprayed the lower third of the car all the way around, and as soon as I'd finished that, within seconds I jumped straight onto the snowfoam. Now once you've done the snowfoam you have to leave it for a couple of minutes to dwell. That's why we say it's essential that you put the car in the shade. So at this point you would normally jump in with a contact wash, but because this is one of those one-off events, I decided to go for a second snowfoam, and this is the only real time that I would do something like this. It's not part of my main routine, and it's not something you're going to have to do all the time, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Another top tip, you really need 2 buckets, and the aim of the game is to reduce any risk of scratching. For the contact wash, it is 100% essential that you do use 2 with grit guards in each of them. Now I've got a brand new bucket here which has a grit guard, and it also doubles up as a bottle holder too, and this one is from Ava, and it's rectangular so it makes it easy to store away. And I just thought I'd show you this because it's quite a quirky little bucket, and it has got a lid which doubles up as a step as well. So for the contact wash, I was doing the usual few passes and sticking the wash mitt back in the rinse bucket before putting it back into the wash bucket. And I have already done a whole series on car washing, so I will link the playlist below so it breaks down the entire step-by-step process that you guys can easily follow along. And after the final rinse, you've got a few options. Either use a car dryer, which is the safest method, but for most of you, you're going to find that a microfiber towel will do the job just fine. So the wash process is pretty similar for me, but I prefer to play it safe with a double layer of snowfoam and a rinse beforehand, before I even start the proper wash. And it's just my own personal opinion, and I know everybody has their own thoughts and their own methods of cleaning their car, but if this was my own one, I probably wouldn't be too bothered myself because my car isn't exactly what you would call good. But if you're doing it for a client's car, then this is the best method that I would recommend. And if you're looking for some beginner's tips on glass cleaning, then I urge you go check this video out right now.